Hello, friends. It is Coach Karen, and as promised, I am going live on Tuesdays in December. So this is the third of 4 live videos that I'm doing about holiday time. We have talked, to recap, about making a list, checking it twice, the list of how I want to feel, what I'm going to do based on how I want to feel, and what I'm not going to do. So go back to that list, and if you haven't made a list yet, make your list now. What do I want to feel? What do I want to do? What do I not want to do? That will help you manage expectations. Last week, I talked to you about managing expectations. If you are having a dialed back holiday time, you need to let people know, you know what, this is what we're doing this year. We're not sending cards. This is what we're doing this year. We're not doing Secret Santas. Whatever it is, so other people can manage their expectations. You're not responsible for their feelings. You're responsible for you. This week, worst Christmas of my entire life. So, there's something new in my background today. Right behind me is a photo of my baby girl, Natalie. I'm gonna cry. When she was 2 months old. When Natalie was born, she was born with a heart defect that we found out about 5 days after she was born. We did not know it when she was born. She had a hole in her heart, most common heart defect you can have, and we were hoping it would close on its own. It was small enough that it could, but she'd have to grow in order for that to happen. Well, when you have a heart defect and you're, in essence, in heart failure, you're not breathing as well as you would, and you're not eating as well as you could, and you're not gaining as weight as well as you would to enable that to close, and so you aren't gaining, that's not happening. Hey, Claudia, good to see you here. So, lo and behold, she's born in June. By the time it was November, 4 months later, she had to have open heart surgery. So we thought at the time that was the biggest heartbreak. During all this time, my older sister, Nancy Ellen, is living in London, and we were planning on going to London for Christmas that year. So this would have been December 2001. And Natalie would have been recovered from her surgery and would have been well enough to go. So my sister sent this very special book. If you've never seen this book, this was 1968. She gave it to my daughter Lilia, The Tiger Who Came to Tea by Judith Kerr. And she wrote, "To Lilia, I hope you can come for tea while I'm in London. Love, Aunt Nancy." October 2001. So I still have this book with that invitation to go to tea in London when we're visiting my sister. I bought Natalie a super exciting outfit to wear. So this is the blanket. I still have it. Super fun. And it had matching pants and a shirt and a little cap. So she was going to be so adorable on the plane, on the train, and everywhere else in between. That was not to be. So right before Thanksgiving, worst Thanksgiving of my life, Natalie, when she was 5.5 months, not even old, she was diagnosed with cancer the day before Thanksgiving. And AML, cancer of the bone marrow. And we ended up spending Thanksgiving to Easter in Children's Hospital. But this Christmas, the one I'm talking about, worst Christmas of my life, was because we were in the hospital. And Natalie was in intensive care, and Natalie was breathing on the ventilator because she had stopped breathing a couple days before Christmas, and that was a code that I got to call her mother with her father and her baby sister in the room, with the nurse in the room at the same time. So we were in a trauma no matter what. We were in a disappointment no matter what. And all 3 of us slept overnight in the hospital. I lived in the hospital with Natalie, but even her dad and her baby sister, or her big sister, Lilia, spent the night in the hospital. I asked the nurse to put her little Christmas outfit on her, and it was just a little jacket, and she's covered in tubes and everything else. And that could not have been further away from any kind of Christmas that I would have ever expected to have in my entire life. And the one thing I did not have to do that year was buy gifts, run around, do things with other people, because it wasn't happening. I was living in the hospital, so I didn't do those things. Other people made cookies and other people brought gifts. I did none of that. That was the good part. I did send my cards though, because I had a super adorable picture of Natalie and Lilia at Halloween, and I found the perfect card, and that's how I had to announce to people that Natalie was sick. That is how I announced it. They got it in their Christmas card. So it's something else, I should say, to spend a holiday in Children's Hospital, especially at Christmas time. And you know, nowadays you have to be really sick to be in the hospital. And it just distilled for me all of the reasons why the season is not about buying things. It is not about running places. And that can be fun, and if it is, but the season is really about what you value the most. And the greatest gift of all I learned through all that stuff that happened with Natalie was it's your health. Without your health, you have nothing. And so I know everybody has different versions of Christmases, disappointing holiday times where you thought it was going to be this and then it was that, years where people were super disappointed in their presents, or people were having a huff, or, you know, teenagers in bad moods. I've had plenty of those things, but I've had nothing, including the year I was going through a divorce, when I didn't send cards, which I do all the time. I've had nothing compared to spending a holiday in an institution, as good as it is, at Children's Hospital, fighting for my baby's life. So I just share this story with you because, one, if this is not your favorite Christmas, if this is not your favorite holiday, that's just how it is. We can't make pretend, and it doesn't do you any good to do that anyway. Number two, if you're realizing, you know what, I'm kind of disappointed. Maybe I'm disappointed in myself. Maybe I'm disappointed in other people. Maybe I'm disappointed in people who should know better. Okay, that can happen. It could be true. But you know what? There are worse things. The worst thing is potential death and loss of life. That's the worst thing around holiday time. So I just want to encourage everybody to just be where you're at, wherever that is. If you're hating this time of year, it's going to pass. Today, winter solstice, the most darkness of the whole year. So I'm in my black and white, although I'm often in black and white. The shadow and the sun, the moon and the sun, the shadow and the cloud, it's always, always all happening. The good, the not so good. And we have so much power in ourselves when we focus on the things that are the most important. And we forget all the rest of the stuff. If people don't like the gifts you bought them, too bad. They can go buy their own gifts, okay? You bought them to please somebody. If they don't like it, that's just how it goes. There are more important things to focus on. And taking good care of yourself is one of them. So I still look at this blanket. My daughter Natalie was holding our granddaughter Lydia in this blanket the other day. That was like a mind bender for me. So while this never made it to London with her in it, I kept it as a memory. And we still read The Tiger Who Came to Tea. And when I see that inscription, this was before Natalie was diagnosed with cancer, I can't forget. There was a time where our lives were very different. They've never been the same since. But I can honestly say, when you have your health, you do have everything. So I'm hoping you're enjoying your holidays, and I'm hoping that if you're not, you're getting through them. And I am hoping that you're taking good care of yourself by leaning into your routines that just keep you going, whether it's exercise class, meditations, breathing with me on YouTube, or my 3-breath meditation, whatever it is, so that you can keep going and getting through. Joyfully, fa la la, or heartbreakingly, I'm so sorry, whatever that is, and keep going. You don't have to like it to get through it, because guess what? Even the longest day of the year will end. That's a metaphor. So thanks for joining me. Thank you, Claudia. It looks like my mom is here. Thank you, Nana and Nancy. See you next week. Next week, much later topic, talking about why the last week of the year is my favorite week of the year. So have a great day, and I will see you next week.